Call to order the school committee meeting, February 15, 2024. Stephanie, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Fisher?
Here.
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 Here. What the freak? Oh, did you ask me?
Are you here?
Here. Wait, let me shut off my watch. I don't even know how to.
Do you want to give me your watch?
No, I got it. So I think,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
we have a 6:05 executive session planned to discuss issues around collective bargaining. As for the board and because of the crowd, I'd like to ask that we take that out of order and move it to the end of the meeting, not to public session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Moving on to the report of the superintendent.
It's not you first? Okay, I'll go first. That's fine. I thought it was first. All right, I did want to address some of the discussion that happened at the last school committee meeting. I didn't want to do it during the public comment because that's not the right procedure to do it in. But I did want to mention some of the actions that the administration at the complex did take recently to make sure that they address some of the students' concerns and some of the students' needs. So the middle school families should have received a SMORE, which is one of those newsletters that I think over the weekend, and they did meet with the students right after the incident happened to try to check and see if anybody had any issues. This week they were doing the SBIRT screening, which we do annually to be proactive to having conversations about substance abuse and substance use. That way they get a start to have a conversation with a trusted adult one-on-one. Additionally, the student support team at the middle school, we're going to all of the teams this week, one by one. They have a last block that is kind of an open block every day, and they were going to each of the teams individually to have mini gatherings with counselors and make sure that the students feel safe, and just to do check-ins prior to the vacation, because school vacation can be stressful as well. So they did do a few things, and I know they're planning on doing more after the vacation. I talked to the principal, and he is looking to do a bigger presentation with a guest speaker that's an expert in drug awareness and drug use and the like. So he didn't want to rush to do that and not do it right. So he did say he was going to do that. We also did take a look at some of our hiring strategies. We're taking a proactive approach. We're going to start to go and have some of the administration go to some of the job fairs that are around and kind of be proactively marketing Saugus as a place to work. We're working on putting together a brochure to try to see if we can entice some of the quality young teachers to come to Saugus and give them the reasons why Saugus is a good place to be. And the last thing, because it was mentioned, we do have a crisis intervention emergency management plan that's in effect. It goes through changes every year. Each building has their own addendum to it. So that does exist. And whenever a crisis or a situation comes up, whether it be a big event or a small event, usually the school administration debriefs on how the event was handled and talks about how the event could be handled differently. For example, I know one of the first years I was principal, we had a student that had some medical issues. And the first time they had a medical issue, we didn't go into a lockdown because we were just trying to triage the situation. And, it was kind of new to us and we didn't have it. So then after that, we developed a plan that if somebody needed privacy, we went into a medical lockdown, whether that's the that's not necessarily the proper terminology, but going into a medical lockdown to keep the hallways clear so that if somebody's having a medical situation or a personal situation for whatever reason, there's some privacy, even though it's a public place. So those are the type of things we do and have done, and I'm encouraging our administration to do moving forward. I'm not sure if that answers every question that I heard, but I was trying to make sure I made a list of some of the bullet items that I could talk about as far as that goes. So the other couple of things that are out there is the school calendar we don't have on the agenda tonight because we are trying to coordinate and work out some details with some of the unions and whatnot to finally, and we're going to try to get that school calendar out early enough so that you can plan in advance for when the summer vacation's ending and how long vacations are, because I know that's important to everybody. I did want to congratulate the girls' basketball team. They won the Northeastern Conference Championship for the second year in a row. That's the first time since '84-'85 that has happened, so that's a pretty big deal. I do want to congratulate the Middle School Drama Club for Bots the Musical, where I went immediately following the meeting on 2 Thursdays ago. They did a great job. They also did something, and this is kind of what I like about having the 3 buildings and the less is more sort of. We had the entire 5th grade travel from the Belmonte to the middle school on the Monday morning after Bots the Musical had its 3-day run of it, and they attended a matinee, if you will, at 9:30, and the middle school students performed for the 5th graders. And the 5th graders with Dr. Lukey there, they were unbelievably respectful. They really enjoyed it, and it was nice to see a kind of a preview of what's next as you go. And the last thing I have for tonight is the apology for the snow day the other day. I do apologize. I know, I do feel bad because I take it very seriously, and I know people have plans, and I apologize if that screwed anybody up, but I know there was a big thing on some of the media is maybe you should wait to call it, but I know that family and parents are trying to arrange child care or scheduling, so I tried to call it as early as I could, and I waited for most every other district to go along with me, and then it ended up being nothing. So I do apologize because I know that does set us one day backwards, but like I said, I try to take the data that's there, and I went with it. I'm not a meteorologist, but I gave it a try. So I just wanted to apologize. I mean, hey, can't win them all.
Meteorologists aren't much meteorologists right now.
Yeah, but by you calling it early, it made people be able to.
Yeah, and if you, and that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't, I try not to call a snow day if it's possible, but naturally safety first. But I do keep in mind that there are a lot of people that if I waited till 6 o'clock in the morning, the damage is already done. So I tried to be proactive. So.
Well, you weren't alone. It actually worked out in my favor. I had to go to Waltham at 7 a.m. on that morning, and there wasn't anybody on the road, so it worked out good. So let's try that again next time I gotta get down there, right?
All right, we'll see. All right, that's all I have. I think I got everything in.
All right, okay, but I don't want anybody that comes in, please have them ring the bell. Thanks, Tom. A little bit of distraction having it right behind us.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, so I just want to go to the chairman's report. First, I'd like to congratulate our friend sitting next to me for getting engaged. His fiancee and Liz is a great person, great teacher, and
thanks,
Tommy's a great man.
I appreciate that, but we haven't even announced it publicly yet, but thank you.
It is now.
Sorry, Ma.
Charlie, you need a comment?
Front page.
Also, someone asked me a question if we could reopen our budget. I wasn't sure, but I found out we can't open the budget. It's been put in. It was due February 1st. Doesn't mean we're not going to get it back at some time. So that's how it works. It gets in. We go to FinCom. FinCom gives it to the town meeting, and we get it back eventually. So just kind of quickly just tell you our primary goal is to focus on education, student achievement, the health and mental wellness of our students. We have a new administration, and they're focusing on students. We really got to get the teachers, the parents and the tools they need to be successful. I know the teachers, as we talk, and the support staff, they do need help in the schools. We have an ever-changing demographic in Saugus. I mean, you guys who live here, you know it. So we really are focused on that. The other point I want to touch on just quickly, too, is just social media. So if you guys have a question or a concern or something, please bring it up to us. You can, I don't mind, you post it, I don't know, social media, but afterwards, just give us a call, because if you post something and you don't follow up with us, we can't really help. We can only just, it lives in social media. So I think we're pretty responsive to phone calls, emails, and everything.
Yeah.
Everyone up here is pretty good. So really, we just ask you guys, if there's something you're looking for change, reach out to us, because there's great ideas. I not that I'm on social media, but people send me posts, I guess, is that what they're called? So, and there's great ideas out there. Follow up with us. Let's, there was one for the Heimlich and the,
Yeah, what it does is it creates a false narrative of what we're actually doing up here. People think that we don't want an SRO. Not true. We have a warrant that's going to town meeting to get an SRO. It's not in our budget because we can't afford it this year. We can't afford it probably next year. We need a lot of stuff. That's the problem. But we see it on Facebook. They're not doing this. We're gonna demand this. I'm gonna tell you, we do this for a long time. No one's demanding anything from us. Okay, we do our homework on this budget, and anybody who wants to come up and check it out, be my guest. But no one's going to demand anything from us. Okay, we know what we want. We want an SRO. Okay, so if anybody's here going to come up here and start yelling at us about an SRO, save your breath, because we want an SRO too, and we have it in the warrant, and it's going to town meeting. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
no, that's okay. Anyone wants to jump in, feel free to. So I just want to kind of give you a history on the SRO too. This isn't something that we just started a couple months ago or whatever. This goes back almost 2 years. And I think two things. It's a problem that it goes back 2 years, but the other thing is it's a problem with funding that it goes back 2 years. And I think when you look at it, we've had maybe four or five school committee meetings that the SRO was on the agenda, and we had one parent show up. And she's been consistent. She showed up, and this is what she wants, and we agree with her. I think when you look at something like that, listen, we're responsible for the whole district. We're responsible for the whole school, all the schools. That means special ed, that means school safety, that means curriculum, that means teachers. It's everything. And I think we're proactive with the town. When we talk about student safety, we're really proactive in the district when it comes to teacher training, lockdown practices, and student preparation. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the Saugus PD, because when there's a call out to them, they're here in seconds, not minutes. They do a phenomenal job. Now, that'll never take the place of someone actually in the school, but I think at the end of the day, we as a committee really have to take a look at the whole student, right? And I think that's what we're here for. I mean, when you look at our budget, we have an operating budget. The operating budget goes to the town meeting. In that operating budget, 80%, and Miss Andrews can help me in this, 80% of our budget, our operating budget, is salary. So there's quite a bit in there for salary, and we probably need more. But our funding, like the towns, comes from three sources. It comes from tax revenue. So we're beholden to what the town can bring in for tax revenue. The second is state aid and federal aid. And that's not always a given that we're going to get that. So what we see today in a municipal school budget might not be what's there tomorrow. So we got to be real cognizant of where we put our money. So, anyone have anything up here?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I'll just add too. Just to reiterate what you said very well, the budget process as it goes forward, we have the operating budget, we have Schedule 19. For example, the benefits of every Saugus public school employee are not paid out of the operating budget. We have hundreds of employees, those are paid off of the town side. So when you look at the operating budget, when you look at that budget packet that came out a couple of weeks ago, that's not going to include all spending that we have on the school side. We have a school stabilization fund. We're putting warrants towards that for money to be earmarked for particular purposes. One of those articles that's going towards town meeting is going to be for a school resource officer. That's been described at past meetings. That's been the process. Originally, we tried to do it through grant funding. The grant didn't come through, so this is what we're trying now. Whether it's coming from the operating budget, whether it's coming from the reserve fund, all spending gets reviewed by FinCom, and then it goes to town meeting. Town meeting approves every dollar that has to be spent in this town. And then it comes back to us. We made our ask, town meeting will review it, it will come back to us, and then we'll take it from there. So at this point, we have sent our requests forward, whether it's through the operating budget, the reserve fund, we have sent the requests forward. They now need to be reviewed by town meeting. So that's where we're at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Steph.
I'm good.
You sure? Okay. So I guess I would say when we look at a school budget, the five of us, I'd say the five of us up here, but the administration and I would say a lot of the teachers. I mean, the number one thing sticks out, the most important thing is how does it affect the student and how can we help the student? Because that's who our audience is, okay? It's the student, it's the parents. And are we perfect? No. That's why we have these meetings, so we can get corrected on things. So that's it for me. I appreciate your time, and we'll get into the rest of the budget now, the rest of the agenda now. So under new business, we have amendment number 5 to reallocate savings from unpaid leaves and late start salary needs and McKinney-Vento transportation. So, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Chair seconds. Can we do a roll?
Just thinking about it. Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We've got the approval of bills dated February 15th, 2024, in the amount of $776,965.32.
Motion to approve?
Chair seconds. Can we do a roll on that, too?
Yes.
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 Yes. Then we've got the acceptance of a donation from, for $1,933.75 from the Veterans Early Learning Center, PTO, to the Saugus Public Schools to cover field trip buses. Before we vote, I just want to say we really value PTOs. I know, I know Ms. Mastrocola will tell you the time and work it takes.
A little bit to say.
But I don't, until you see a PTO at work, I don't think you can fully grasp how much work it is and what they do. Good.
No, in regards to the VELC, I would just like to say one thing. There were a group of parents who actually opened up the library. Like, they go there 3 days a week. They don't get paid. They've spent hours, countless hours, just so that library can be open. So I want to say thank you to them for doing that, or else the children would have no library. None. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you to the PTO. So a motion in front of us.
Motion to approve?
Chair seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. I've got one emergency thing in here. It's from the Hoot Nannies, Kelly and Kim.
Kelly and Christie.
Kelly and Christy. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Tim's out in the audience. So they've been doing this thing. It's a fundraiser. They've been doing it forever. They give back. They make donations. They do daddy-daughter dances, mother-son dances, princess tea parties, trunk and treat.
Absolutely.
So it's really worthwhile, and they do a great job. And full disclosure, they rent a room from us at the Vel. So they rent classrooms from us for the student enrichment, for the school enrichment, and they're requesting to rent on March 14th, 2024. And I want to put this in front of us now so we can vote on it, so they can get working on what they need to get working on.
I don't think we have to vote on that. I thought it just has to get approved with the,
We do have to vote.
since when? Do you remember voting on anything else like this?
We found out.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve?
Chair seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0.
I don't know about that.
Next is public comment. I would just, as always, on public comment, just be respectful. You know, we've got you. Just state your name, your address. And just don't bring up personnel.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sure.
Before we get to public comment really quick, because I don't want to take away from that, I have we've been fielding a couple of phone calls, and particularly in the area of athletics. We have an athletic subcommittee meeting coming up next week. There seems to be quite a bit of misinformation about between us reintroducing our lacrosse program with youth lacrosse. At the same token, a number of these younger athletes at this grade level are future hockey players as well. And we had discussions about that, talking about with the athletic director about reinstituting, starting at the ground level with a JV program or a freshman program moving forward. This is all talk right now. I'll be scheduling an athletic subcommittee meeting for next week, but there does seem to be some misinformation about the lacrosse program and youth lacrosse. I spoke to the head coach today, Mr. Scazzarella, who urged me to let everybody know if anybody had any questions about that, to give him a call, and we'll provide much more information about that after our athletic subcommittee meeting next week. My last request is that on the agenda, so this doesn't happen, if we could put a section for reports of committees, whether there be any reports or not, then it won't take away from public comment.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to bring back hockey, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matthew Palante, 25 Avon Street, town meeting member for Precinct 2. My platform has always been what's best for Saugus, especially the youth in this town. The fact that our schools didn't have any school resource officers, despite being desperately needed, was first brought to my attention during last year's election. As most of you know, this was my first time running for any elected position in my life, and I have a daughter who is now 25 years old and attended the Belmonte in 2011 and then the Vogue for high school. Over the course of my campaign, I spoke with many parents and students who shared their concerns and examples of incidents they had personally experienced during their time in Saugus Public Schools. Make no mistake, we are a proud town, but we fail to acknowledge that we have inner city issues. We have out-of-control fights as recent as last Thursday in our schools, and we have drugs in our school, which we all know by now that it's not just the students. It extends beyond the students. An SRO or school resource officer is not a cure-all for any of these issues, but it's certainly a part of the solution and more of a deterrent than not. An SRO's first priority is school safety and the wellness of the students. They are not there to police or discipline. They don't search the students, nor do they engage in any type of disciplinary activities. Rather, they are there to support the students and staff and help bridge the gap between student and authority by building and fostering relationships with them. Most can admit the defund of the police movement did not help the community and police relations, especially amongst the youth. Many of our surrounding towns and cities have SROs in their schools, which have been a huge benefit. For example, in our neighboring city of Revere, where I work as a firefighter, we have 3 of them, one of whom is here tonight. They have given me examples of knowing something that was going to happen before anyone else did, like scheduled fights or attacks on students and staff through their relationships with the students. They have many conversations and provide support to students who come to them because they were their trusted adult. The program has grown. Revere now has an after-school boxing outreach program which is fully funded through the city and grants that brings many of the students who seem to have gotten lost in the system to a place where they're able to learn self-discipline, how to build strong routines and relationships, and most importantly, they get to experience being part of a community they didn't know before. Revere also has a Canine Comfort Support Program whose Canine Charlie just turned 1 yesterday and provides tremendous value not just to the students, but to the faculty and staff. We have an opportunity in Saugus to create this position through collaboration and partnership by working together as a town should. I have spoken to most of the people involved, the town manager, the superintendent, school committee members, president of the teachers union, chief of police, mental health and substance abuse personnel, parents, teachers, principals, and most of all, students. All are in agreement. We need SROs. Most of the players involved are also in agreement on another thing. They don't want to be the one to fund them. I'm asking the school committee to make SROs in the schools a priority now. By reopening your budget talks to add SROs as a line item. To be clear, I am not asking for any other line item to be removed or to provide SROs at the cost of any teachers. And for purposes of the public, I want to acknowledge even if the school committee approves this change, the budget still needs to go through the levels of approval to be finalized. All I'm asking is the school committee make this a priority for the students of Saugus. Officer Joe Singer is here with me tonight and happy to answer any questions after the meeting about the program in Revere if you have any questions. I know that you had addressed reopening the budget. So as I said that, I was still going to have that request in there. I think it's important to make this a priority, not in a year, not in 2, now. We can do that by adding it into the budget while it still sits with the select board because it hasn't gone to FinCom. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Palante, I would ask you one thing. I would ask that you and any other town meeting member talk to the other town meeting members, because once we send this through the warrant, we're going to need you guys to vote on it. You guys are the one that's going to put this through, not us. We've done our job. We've passed it on. We're hoping that you guys can find enough votes to vote it in for us. You have to have the votes, town meeting. That's where it all comes into play. You guys hold the power for that and for the budget.
Well, we don't.
You guys have more power than you think you have.
We don't. And then
You do.
hang on. We can approve, what I've learned, this is, again, I'm 4 months into this. What I've learned is town meeting can approve all the funds we want. It's up to the town manager to disperse them.
Absolutely, but you approve them. So
We
it's
can
never
approve-
gotten to that point where you guys have said, hey, yep, come on, you guys have all
Well,
this
my
money.
understanding is not, that it's not going to be approved because the school committee's not making a priority, is what I was told.
There's a warrant, the warrant is a priority.
I understand.
You know what I mean? So it's obviously that we're vested in this.
It's been on,
know?
it's been on.
So again, I'm not.
It's
this
been on
isn't-
our
this isn't-
agenda for months.
And the other thing
Okay.
is, this honestly, if we put it in our budget, say by some miracle we get it, and then next year we don't have it in our budget, we have to cut the spot. What we're doing is guaranteeing 2 years of an SRO, almost like a pilot program. And if it has a huge benefit to us, then we'll fight for it in the budget. But if it doesn't have benefit, you said yourself, they're not disciplinarians. We, for some reason, don't ask me why, but when we made the budget cuts a couple years ago, they got rid of vice principals, and those are the people that we need. We need people in the school that are able to discipline kids and able to, and not just kids, but staff and everybody, And I agree with what you said, believe me, I wholeheartedly agree with an SRO.
But when you say
We
discipline,
both.
kids aren't getting suspended, I mean,
That's the state, that is the state.
So
you know?
then what do you need principals for if you can't suspend them?
No,
You can't
listen.
discipline them?
But you can just.
You need
put
a
it in-house
deterrent.
and everything
You
else,
need a
but
deterrent.
You need more bodies that
You
walk
need more of
around.
a deterrent than anything because these kids aren't listening to principals who can't discipline.
I know, but you just said yourself that they're not
You just said you
deterrent,
know.
what I mean?
So you
It's not
agree.
deterrent.
You agree?
I agree that we need an SRO, I do.
Okay.
But I do agree that we can't put it in our budget
But we're
now.
not going to get it
We all do.
unless it's made a priority by the school committee.
It is a priority. It's absolutely a priority.
It's not going to show as a priority when you put it in as a special
Why?
article
Why?
and to try
Why?
to get it. Good question. This is what I was told.
Because you know what? It's going to have to just pass your hands, not FinCom, not the town manager, your hands. That's all it's going to have to pass. So to me, it's more of a slam dunk. You know?
It's not a slam dunk.
And you have to approve it, though.
We can approve everything we want. We don't disperse the funds.
The funds that we have,
town
town
meeting.
meeting is the one that votes on it. Correct?
We vote on it.
We vote on your budget.
Town manager is not going to.
If we pass an article,
If
if
you
we
pass
pass
it-
an
What-
article,
what is
if we
done at
pass
the
an
town
article,
manager?
if we pass an article, it's,
That's,
Hold on.
That has nothing to do with that.
You asked me what died at the.
He didn't do the host agreement.
hold on. Let me just for an example. Again, I'm new to all this, so
Yeah,
I'm learning
yeah.
as I go.
No, and I appreciate that, yeah.
Town meeting passed an article to repaint 44 Taylor Street, historic building in Saugus, 4 years ago. 300,000 passed, funded, approved. It's not painted. Apparently it's part of a 5-year plan, I was told.
Yeah, actually, the bids are up, coming out probably this week or next week, to be honest with you, yeah.
Oh, so you know this for sure?
I know for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know for sure. It's, everything's going to be tested for lead paint and everything else.
Oh, okay.
Historic buildings are different than
So
than
again-
just painting your house.
We can pass your budget, right, and you guys get that money. If we pass an article, that money has to be sent out by the town manager. He funds it. So we can provide where the funding is going to come from. Hold on, we can provide where the funding is going to come from. We can approve that article. But if the town manager doesn't agree with it or he doesn't see it feasible, he won't do it. He's made that very clear.
Mr. Chair, can I just
don't-
confirm something? There's a lot of misconfusion. There's an account, the school reserve fund, with money in it.
How much is in that account?
How much is in that account? I do not know off the top of my head, but let me just continue my statement.
You can speak.
There is a school
reserve
reserve
fund.
fund.
Yes.
We have a warrant out to withdraw a particular amount of money from that fund for a school resource officer. This isn't go find the money. This isn't fund it through debt or take it from another source or from free cash. This is withdraw. This is town meeting giving an order to remove money from a fund that is there. And that money is earmarked for a particular purpose. What you're asking to do is scrap that, request money that will be a line, not even a line item. We're not going to get a line item budget from town meeting. We're going to get a dollar amount. We've requested 2.7 million over last year. If we get 1.2 million, we don't even cover the increase in costs year to year. So at that point, we have to decide, do we reduce teachers? Do we not hire staff? Do we not have translators in the classroom? What do we do? Where does that money go? Is a school resource officer something that survives a cut? What we're doing is we're making it an article to come out of a particular fund that has money in it, earmarked for an SRO.
Yeah, so what he's saying is, if it goes to the budget, it's going to end up getting cut. If we put it in the warrant, it's not going to get cut. That's what we're trying
It
to
gets
get.
put in the
and it
warrant, it's not
comes
going to
from-
get passed.
Then that's
okay,
on you guys. That's on town meeting.
But here's the
You
thing.
guys
Well,
grabbing the
so
fruit
again,
over
so it's
there.
not a priority to you.
How is it not a priority? We just
Because
put
if
the
it
warrant in.
would, hear me out.
I just heard you out.
Because we're being told.
You're not hearing us. The warrant's in. It comes to you guys. You guys vote on it. If we put it in the budget, we're going to end up cutting it out of there.
And what-
So this way, it's guaranteed you guys vote on it.
And
That's how it works.
and what you can do as well, you're a member of town meeting. You're the one who decides what our budget is. You can then say, and I was a member of town meeting as well. I sat next to you. When you decide what our budget is, you can say, if it's fully funded, you can make a motion, fully fund it, and then take the cost out of that was on that warrant that in this scenario didn't pass, and add it to our budget. You can do that as a member of town meeting. I don't know why you're coming here asking us to request something from you that we've already asked for when you're deciding whether or not we get it. I'm very confused.
Because SROs are important to have,
Yes.
and it's not being made a priority.
We made it, we've requested the money.
Not when everybody
Yeah.
up there knows it's not going to get passed through town meeting.
Then it's not going to get passed through in the budget either. The budget is guaranteed not to get through, guarantee it, because we're not going to get that money, and we're going to have to make cuts. And if we have to go to SRO or teachers, the SRO's going. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
Every
We
dollar
have to
that
go
we,
to more teachers.
every dollar that we receive is coming from town meeting, every dollar, whether it comes from the budget, wherever it comes from, town meeting is going to pass it. You were saying earlier, you spoke to the police chief and to the town manager, you talked to all these people. Did you talk to your fellow town meeting members? You have to build a majority there. You're the board that decides how much money we get. We can only request. If we put it in our budget, we can put a space shuttle in our budget. Our budget is our request.
You can put a
decide
space
what
shuttle
we
in the
get.
article and it get passed, town manager doesn't feel like it's feasible, he's not going to do it.
If we have the money.
Well, all these
yeah.
people
Keep
that are
going
here
back
for
to
that
town
should be at
manager,
town
pass it
meeting.
first.
That's what we
Let's
need.
take it one step at a time, pass it first, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I don't understand how you don't see the difference in it being a priority by putting it into your school budget versus throwing an article that you already know isn't going to get passed, because that's basically 1 to 2 years, Tom, you said.
Yeah, yeah.
1 to 2 years. That tells me it's not a priority to you right now.
No, that's not what it says. It's
What's that
what
say?
it tells you
1
is
to
we-
2 years is more
Matt, if
is
we
more
put it in the
feasible than
budget-
right
we
now.
put it in the budget, it gets cut, no matter what.
How do you know it gets cut?
You're going to give us $2.7 million?
Yes.
Then
Anybody from
give
town
us,
meeting?
yes,
yeah.
Who's from town meeting? Raise your hand right now if you're going to vote for that budget. Okay, thank you. No one's going to vote for that budget. Nobody's going to vote for that budget.
I'm town meeting, but what he's saying is it's voted in.
Come up to the microphone, please, so everybody can hear you at home.
Not even supposed to be doing this under our.
Judy Worthley, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 9.
Hi, Judy.
What he is saying, yes, I've been in town meeting for 6 years, and money gets voted by town meeting. It doesn't necessarily used. It's at the discretion of the town manager. We've passed many a thing that hasn't come to fruition because it's sitting there.
The money's there, right?
Right, the
Appropriate.
money's there, but is it?
Are you talking?
He's
projects? What are
saying
you talking?
it's a priority.
It
So
is
a
a priority.
priority to me means it needs to be used.
Absolutely. And that priority to me is if we put it in a warrant, it has a better chance of getting voted through than it does in the budget.
Sure, town meeting could vote it. I would vote,
know
as
you
a
would.
town
That's what I'm
meeting
saying.
member,
You
I would
guys-
definitely vote it.
That's why
But
I'm
is
glad
it
you're
going to
here.
get used? What he's saying is, we want, I think most of the community is here saying they want an RSO. They're not
we
going
do
to, but they,
so
we
this-
can't guarantee in town meeting that they're going to get it, is what I'm saying. Don't give it all to
Well,
town
we
meeting
can
because
all
it
but
doesn't
guarantee.
always belong to town meeting.
Well, we can all but guarantee that if it's in the budget, it's going to end up getting cut. Because historically, we never get that kind of money.
Town
We have
meeting
a
is the
lot of
appropriating
needs.
authority. Town meeting is the appropriating authority. We can't pass.
Town manager's the appropriating.
No, that's not,
Town
that-
meeting
that's,
is
that's
the-
fundamentally not
Town
true.
meeting.
Okay, let me ask, so 2.7 million. What you're asking for is SEL, ESL teachers, right? More support like that, right? Which is imperative right now, just as much as an SRO, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so if you're guaranteeing that this budget isn't going to get passed, then what are you going to cut out of there?
Things we have to.
We gotta,
Okay,
we
so,
gotta-
so then why?
You just
hold
said
on,
you're
so-
going to fund our budget.
So if we're going to go for 2.7, right, and we're going to try to go for all these things, why would you not add the SROs in there and then let town meeting try to get the whole budget passed for you?
Well-
Rather than one article that we all know, everybody in this room will not see the light of day.
But I don't understand why. What,
Tom, you're the only one up there.
I don't understand
Why?
why.
Why are you so against SROs?
who's against this? Are
you.
you listening to anything I'm saying?
1 to 2
This is
years,
what-
you
this is what I'm
said.
saying with you.
Mr. Chairman.
You
1 to 2
have,
years.
you have the wrong
Excuse me.
idea of what's going on here.
Mr. Chairman.
We're
Well,
for
You can
the
go back and
SRO.
watch the video. You said 1 to 2 years.
Whoa, whoa.
1 to 2 years. you
Whoa!
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
first of all, during public comment, it's supposed to be a comment from the public. There's not to be any debate. That's number one. Number two, people are getting the wrong idea that this committee is against the SROs when we've been talking about it for 2 years and looking at every bit.
And
bit
done
of
nothing.
funding.
And done
Excuse
nothing.
me.
Talking about it for 2
Excuse
years
me.
and done
I'm
nothing.
speaking.
Where you been? Where you been?
I am
Did you move to town
speaking.
last week?
I spoke to you the other day, nice? Let's continue that. To make things a priority, do you know how many sped teachers that we should have and we don't? Do you know how many classroom teachers that we need and we can't get? There's a priority list everywhere. To say one thing is a priority over another is wrong. We've been working at this, and by charter, we came up with a budget and put our budget in for February 1st as it's supposed to be. We are doing our job. You're trying to make it apparent or send some air that this committee does not want an SRO or it's not a priority. If that was even the realm of truth, we wouldn't have been talking about it for the last 2 years. So I just wanted to set the record straight. And I think there needs to be a little bit more decorum at this meeting.
I agree. And let me just apologize. I want to apologize for interrupting you. So I apologize. You're right. And I was walking away after my statement. I was asked a question. Okay? I was brought back to the podium by a question. So one thing I want to point out is you guys have been talking for 2 years. Talking. We need action. We need action from you guys. And I didn't say the committee. In fact, I'm going to point the finger to one person who doesn't want SROs right now.
Mr. Chairman?
You listen, hold on a second, excuse me. for one
I just
second.
want to,
Hold on.
Hey, thanks, Matt. If you want to go back up there, I'll gladly get back to you on that one, okay? Because you know damn well I want an SRO. You go back to 2019, we've been talking about this, okay? 2 years guaranteed SRO,
Put it in your
okay?
budget
2
now.
years.
Put it in your
Vote
budget now.
for
We'll get
it.
it next
Vote,
week.
have the confidence
Put it in
and
your budget
and
now.
have the
We'll get
courage, have the courage to go to town meeting and talk to town meeting. Have that courage.
Put in your budget. I will.
Hey, do me a
Okay,
favor,
guys,
learn your
guys,
job.
guys,
Learn your
guys,
job,
please.
okay?
Both of you,
Study up what
please,
town meeting is, thank you.
please. Listen, we're all on the same team here. This is one town.
Well, apparently
I
not.
know, no. Yeah, John, did you want to say something?
Again, we're all looking for the same thing. And there is a process. And I think everybody has to really dig down and understand what the process is. This committee has done its job. You know, you say that we've been at this for 2 years and it's just talk. We have filed grants. We have worked with the police chief. The police department has helped us with additional grants. To say that there hasn't been action is also incorrect. So, again, this district needs so much. The teachers need so much support. The priority list is this big. SRO is just one of them. So I don't think it's right for anybody to interpret our actions and what we're doing as against an SRO because we've already done it. And the one thing that is true is that town meeting is the appropriating authority of monies in this town, and that's where it all ends. End of story.
Go ahead.
Frank Federico, 7 Kirkland Street, Precinct 7 Town Meeting. There's a couple things I want to touch on. The idea that it ends with town meeting is not accurate. We appropriate the money. The town manager distributes the money. If he doesn't feel that the initiatives that we pass are best for the town, he doesn't have to distribute the money to you guys. So to put it on town meeting
Well, it's never happened, so I'm not worried about it. Go ahead.
is absolutely incorrect. He has made it clear to me in a conversation that
So let me hold you there. We're not going to have hearsay here that he said this, he said that. So let's stop right there. Okay? If he's here to defend himself, I'll give.
I'll also point out, too, that the last 3 years, we've gotten every dime we've requested at this board. Every budget that we've put in, we've gotten last 3 years.
in my opinion, the money needs to come from the budget. It shouldn't be added to the budget. I'm not saying subtract the teacher. We need all the teachers, all the staff we can get. We need to look at how we're spending money in the schools and make sure we're doing it efficiently. And I would guess we would be able to find enough for an SRO if we actually go through line by line in the schools and make sure that we're spending money as efficiently as possible. That's my recommendation to the board.
Yep, and we've done that, and that's how we hire teachers. So I think,
So let's make children's safety a priority. I mean, SROs,
here you go again. You're saying it's not a priority. That's what I get a kick out of.
I mean-
where have you been for the last 3 years? Where have you been the last 2 years? Where have you been the last year?
I've been observing. That's why I got involved. It's the same reason why I'm sure you got involved.
Yeah,
I want to see a change in this town, and I'm not here to make friends with any. I told everybody this. I'm here to do what's right by the town and the community. And if that means calling out things that I see wrong, I'm going to do that.
that's fine. But as long as you have your facts in that, that's fine.
So you're saying that as the budget sits right now, there's no,
We've already put the budget in. I think I said that at the beginning of the
did.
meeting. So we can't go back. We can, after it comes back to us, we can go back.
But there's nowhere to save money in the budget.
Vote the money through that we need. Vote, when you get it at town meeting, vote through the dollar amount that you believe that we need. If you're going to fully fund the budget and the warrant doesn't pass, add money to it.
So
That's
I
what you
ask
can do as a town meeting
You have
member.
$100,000 in there for a complex second shift principal, essentially, correct?
In-
Keep the complex open later in the day?
I don't know if it's, I can't remember if it's in the budget or if it's, but this is what I'm trying to say.
It was a $100,000.
You're not understanding your process here. So when the budget goes through, this is our recommendation. When it comes back,
That person's
we're going to get a dollar amount. When it comes back, we can spend that money as we need to. So if you give us the budget in the exact amount we asked for,
So-
we're going to get it back. This is what you're not understanding. We're going to get this budget back. The recommendation that we already passed is not the final budget. We're going to build a final budget based on the number that you give us from town meeting. You keep saying, oh, that whenever you vote, it's not going to happen, but it's really important that you put it in the budget. If you don't think the budget's going to be passed as needed, then what are we talking about? Your argument isn't making any sense to me, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I literally do not know what you're talking about.
Disrespectful by any means, but what you're saying is you just put in a $100,000 line item for a second shift principal
And we requested an SRO.
in this recent budget.
No, we requested it in the warrant. The warrant is more secure than, that's what you're not understanding. The warrant, if passed, will be earmarked for that purpose.
The warrant goes to the town manager after.
So does the budget. This is what I'm not understanding. Everything goes to the town manager.
So let's just clear something up here. So
I can't.
let's take it step by step, right? So let's get the warrant passed and we can go from there. It's coming out of the school stabilization fund. So
So apparently, according to what Matt just gave me, it says during the fiscal year, the school committee proposed a $31.33 million budget, only to receive $30.2 million.
And we received the 30.2 million. That's what town meeting voted, and that's what we received. Everything town meeting has voted, we have
Minutes ago, you just
received.
told me that town meeting has approved every dollar that you put forward. They just.
Yes, town meeting voted, what town meeting voted, we received. Every time. Can you point to a single situation where town meeting has voted money for the schools and we've not received it?
Just minutes ago, you told me that every dollar you request, town meeting approves.
yeah, no,
That
he's
was not-
saying,
that
he's
wasn't me,
saying
that was
every
him.
dollar we request, you approve.
That's not the case as of last year.
So your job is to vote the higher amount. If you say we get
Correct.
X number of dollars, we're going to receive X number of dollars. That's always happened. You're saying magically we're not going to receive the money. You need to
I'm just
understand your
saying
process.
That's what
misinformation
that's what
there.
town meeting voted on. That's not what we put forward. That's what town meeting voted on.
Okay.
So that's what.
Just to clarify.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman,
no,
this isn't a budget, this
excuse me,
isn't a
Go
hearing.
ahead, go ahead.
With regards to your budget question, with regards to, but you're saying town meeting put forward the amount that was recommended by FinCom.
Correct.
And, all right,
Correct.
so if they recommended the 500,000, which it seems to be the number.
But if FinCom puts forward $5, town meeting can vote on $10.
Right, I understand.
Correct.
All right, I don't know if the public understands, and that's.
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Trying to clarify.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. And
No,
I-
thank you. I just, listen, at the end of the day, I think we're on the same page. I think we're trying to get there differently. I really do. I think we're on the same page. We're trying to get there differently. So,
I do want to be clear. I don't think anybody sitting on this board right now does not want an SRO. The issue is 2 years, to me and to a lot of members of the community, is an egregious amount of time. That's the issue.
no, absolutely. And as I said at the beginning, we're worried about the whole district. So could we have put an SR on 2 years ago? Yeah, we would have laid off teachers. Yeah. You only have so much money in the budget.
I understand the budget is not infinite.
Correct. And
But-
like I said, it only comes from tax dollars. And the problem with Saugus, and truthfully, is our tax base is very low.
When was the last time we actually audited the budget and made sure that we're spending money,
The school budget or the overall
the school budget?
We just did it recently.
And we're running the school department as efficiently as possible. There's no room to trim. There's no room to save money.
80% of our budget is salary. So what do we get rid of books? What do you suggest? Like, that's all I'm saying is, no, there's really not a lot of cutting there unless you go into the salary line items. You know? And listen, at the end of the day, I know what you guys are saying, and I appreciate that. And listen, the onus is on us. I hear you guys loud and clear. The onus is on us. Like I said, we can't reopen the budget now, but if you pass our budget as a whole, it comes back to us. And then we can have movement in it once it comes back to us. So if you pass our budget at 2.7 million more, can we take a look now at maybe we can figure out, maybe we have an ESL who handles 2 schools? Can we go back and look at things like that? Absolutely. But the budget needs to be passed first, is what I'm saying. And it needs to be passed in a whole.
Are you willing to make the commitment that if the budget passes in entirety, you would go after an SRO and put an SRO?
In the entirety, the
Yeah.
2.7 million? Yeah.
Okay.
And I would hope you'd pass the warrant first so that we can use the money in the operating budget for the other purposes.
All right, so let's get you guys in front of town meeting to pitch it.
That's what we do every year.
Right, so
Right.
let's move this
No,
ball forward.
listen,
We'll do
at
it
the
in
end
May.
of the day, we shouldn't be arguing with each other, because I think at the end of the day, we all give a crap about this town immensely. And I think, like I said, I think we're disagreeing on little things, right? I think like I said, I think we're disagreeing how to get there. I think we see the prize at the top
I
of the
mean,
mountain.
can you blame the community, though, with an SRO being talked about for 2 years? I mean, after 2 years, it looks like we're kicking the
Okay,
can
I'm
down
going
the
to
road.
ask you again. Where was the community a year and a half ago?
We're here now.
Where was the community 2 years ago? One person.
Are you going to
Okay.
fight this hard for the sped teachers that we need? You're going to fight this hard?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've made it abundantly clear, I'm an ally of the school committee and I'm an ally of the teachers.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to talk about that, we'll talk about it, but I will go to bat for the teachers every day. I mean, I have family in the school systems. I understand the constraint the budget puts on the teachers. I mean, I think the teachers are underpaid as it is. And I think, Tom, did you mention that, if we had an infinite budget, we'd be paying the teachers a hell of a lot more? Was that a couple meetings ago, maybe?
I would agree with that, yeah, but I.
Yeah,
like I said,
so I mean, we realized, we're not going after teachers. We need the teachers. We need more teachers in the schools. We need more ELL, more special education. What we need is a more well-rounded group. We need the SRO in the schools to keep the students safe. I mean, I don't want to harp on the issues we've had. We're having issues, as Matt said, inner city issues in our school. And it just,
I just want to point out that our issues are not a lot different than the other communities around us, just so you understand.
they're not, but you know what? Other communities have SROs. I have a list of them right now. Almost every surrounding community has multiple SROs. We're asking for one.
So that's I appreciate that. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a different demographic today. It's a different student, and we're trying to get the well-rounded student. And at the end of the day, we can keep banging our head against this, but we want SROs. Like I said, how do we go about it? How do we get it? You said you're going to get us 2.7 more, and we can.
I'll go to bat
definitely-
for you guys. If that's what you need, I will go to bat for you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just want to know that you guys are spending it as efficiently as possible and you're not just wasting it.
Yeah, I will tell you this, Mr. Federico, is the budget doesn't come from us. It comes from each school principal. Mr. Hashem sits down with every department head, every school principal, and they list what their needs are for their particular schools. That's what makes it tough. So nobody listed an SRO, nobody.
No, I
You
know,
know?
but I mean, I've been in sales most of my life. You always go high and then you chisel down.
No, absolutely.
You know?
But what I'm saying is if push comes to shove, we have to cut stuff. It's tough to go back and cut stuff that principals say they need to run that building. You know what I mean?
I mean, do we have a clear distinguishment between what they actually need and what their wish list items are?
Well, that's what they get paid for. Those guys, they're working at bare minimum right now. You ask any of the teachers, a lot of the classrooms are at bare minimum as far as help
I've
goes,
seen it. I've seen
So
it. I
they're
mean,
looking
we
for
can't
more
even-
help.
We can't even open the libraries without parents taking,
Yeah.
No, absolutely, yeah.
but those are the issues we're facing.
And
Something
that's,
has
yeah,
to be
it's
done.
terrible. That is terrible. I hate the fact that parents have to run the library. I really do.
Thank you,
You
guys.
know?
No,
you, Mr. Federico.
listen, thank you guys for your passion.
Mr. Chair, can I just say one thing quickly before Ms. Marchese comes up? The other thing, too, is we're talking about how long it's taken to do this. We got all-day K free in the district. We were trying that for years. I'm looking at the former school committee member here. You were trying to do that during your time. We found a way to do it. we've been working at SROs for a long time. We're finding a way to do it. There's going to be stuff I can't get done that the next school committee member who takes my chair in a few years is going to be able to get done. Not everything gets done right away, but we found a way to do it. And I'm just hoping everyone can work together and pull in the same direction on this, because we have a real chance of doing it this time. I apologize. Sorry.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
You miss us?
I'm just going to say Liz Marchese, 34 School Street, Saugus. First of all, I think nobody here can disagree that we have some serious issues in our schools with regards to discipline, safety, and I'm not saying, and this is not putting it above the lack of teachers, ESLs, fed teachers. I'm addressing this topic today. But some of the things I've seen in the last year, I know why we can't attract teachers. And it's not the pay. Because this town is wonderful, and the people here are wonderful, and the parents here are wonderful. I mean, I've known Mr. Palmerini forever. It's not that. It's I don't want to sit there and be in front of a classroom and have a pencil thrown at my face, and someone call me, excuse my language, a bitch or effing bitch. They don't deserve that.
Listen, you'd be lucky if it was only a pencil.
Oh, you know me, I toss it. You know me, I toss it right back. But
No.
But that's the problem. When our teachers and our staff aren't feeling safe, how can our students feel safe? We all know that. So my understanding is there's a student reserve fund, correct?
Correct.
How much is in that fund?
$3.4 million.
3.4 million, and we're guaranteed more money again next year from what I'm reading through Chapter 70, through the COVID relief funds, correct?
Correct.
They're still...
Correct.
Okay,
I believe so. There are some
is-
budget cuts coming in the state, but I don't.
But we're
think
going to
it's
get some money,
No, we get
No
money
doubt.
every year. We do.
up and above what we usually get for Chapter 70.
Correct.
Okay. So we know that there's money there, and we know that that belongs to you and your students and your teachers and your staff and your administrators. So I'm just saying, so the money's there
So just
for your special article request,
correct.
okay? And I understand that is up to town meeting. So we have to come up with a plan together, okay? We have the school committee who's putting the special article forward, okay? We have town meeting members who represent each and every one of you. So we as voted, as residents, as teachers, as parents, anybody who has a vested interest in this town should be on the phone right now with their 5 reps from every precinct saying, this is important to us. This article is coming in front of you. We elected you because we believed in you doing a good job in representing our interests. This has to be a community effort. It can't just be them. It can't just be town meeting. This has to be all of us working together for a common cause. Because when you have that many people who want something, if it goes in front of the town manager, then now publicly we hold him accountable.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Does everybody agree? We have to work together in this. And I'm not saying you don't want it, but right now we all know it's a priority in our schools. This is a priority, as our teachers and everything else. There are a lot of things we need. And this is a great town. We have a beautiful building. We have this beautiful building. We're paying all these taxes on these schools, and people are fleeing. Why? Because we are not providing what our teachers, our students, our superintendent need to succeed. And parents can only do so much. We can only do so much. So it's time for us to come up with a plan. Just like the plan they had to pass the schools through, the new school vote. It's time for us to rally and come together and work together for this and not start throwing blame. The blame game's over. It's not going to help. It's not going to do anything. So what we do is we call our town meeting representatives. We say, we want this vote passed. And if you're going to get back, and if they don't pass it, you're going to get back your budget anyway. And you know what? Ram it down their throats again. Because that shows that you still, and I know you care, but it shows just how much you care. And I guess that would be my, that's all I have to say. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Andrew Whitcomb, 212 Essex Street, Apartment 102. First, I'm going to say what I came here to say, and then I'm going to add some input on everything we just talked about. I went to see Bots last week at the middle high school. It was very good. Miss Mahon and Mr. Feo and the entire team put on an excellent show every year. I remember siblings of mine being part of it when they were in school, working on the crew. I think my sister sewed some clothes for the Charlie Brown performance they did. I just want to say those students work for months after school to make sure these shows come on. And on the night of the show, you know, you don't see staff backstage. They're in the crowd. They're watching. It's the students run it all. It was very enjoyable. They did a great job. And I wanted to offer congratulations to them. I look forward to the high school performance of whatever the play is going to be this year.
We have great drama. I think
Absolutely.
that's the one thing, like I always say with Saugus, we got great drama. It's underrated. Yeah.
We were all
Yeah,
thinking
we
it.
do. Okay.
Next thing I'll say is, you know, it's every meeting I come to, and you guys know I just come to listen. People forget every single time that the town and the school committee and the parents and the students are on the same team. Whether you're a taxpayer and have kids in the district, or you just pay taxes and don't have any kids like me, or if you're on town meeting or whatever else, you guys are all on the same side. You know, the amount of places that conversation just took and the amount of hypothetical roads it just went down that seemed to have a different ending that was contingent on 6 other things. It was a choose your own adventure book. I mean, bottom line is, town meeting does approve every dollar. If town meeting wants to fund $1 million statue that looks like Superintendent Hashem, they can. They can come up with it out of thin air. Granted, they need a lot of gold, but that's fine. I'm just saying, they can cook that up. They can throw it in the budget themselves. You know, and you guys touched on that. So I'm going to ask that everybody that just spoke and folks in the audience that care about this issue, listen to this meeting again when it's posted to YouTube tomorrow by SCTV. Listen to it slower, because they really explained the budget very, very well. There was a lot of back and forth between it, but they covered it pretty well. Sometimes it takes a few cycles of the budget to get what you want. Ryan touched on it, and I was going to say it myself. It took years to get all-day kindergarten. You know what else it took years to do? Renovations on this building and the big shiny new one that looks over Route 1. That took years. That budget cycle took quite a few times. It took quite a few trips to the State House. Granted, I know this process is a little different, but my point is, that's just how it works. You know, and then we can take that to as many places as we want to and end it with, well, what if town meeting doesn't approve it? What if you guys could have asked for it forcefully? What if the town manager decides he just, I don't know, doesn't like something town meeting did, which, to my knowledge, I don't think has ever really happened. Like, town manager blatantly disobeys town. I don't even know how you would phrase that. You know, if the town manager decided not to hire an SRO or not to spend money that was allocated by town meeting, in theory, he could do that, but that doesn't happen. Matter of fact, at the library a couple of weeks ago, a few town meeting members put together a training. A few of you were there, where this exact scenario played out. And it was explained pretty easily that that would be highly unlikely. I think the example we used then was, you know, what if suddenly you needed more money for shoveling snow and salting the roads? You'd need to find that money from somewhere. If that means you pull it from somewhere else, or town meeting pulls it from somewhere else, or whatever it is, that's fine. We can revisit that conversation a year later. But to turn around and say that you guys don't care about the safety of the students, I think is ridiculous. At least 3 of you said within the last 20 minutes that you support an SRO. I imagine all of you probably do, because the bottom line is you care about the safety of the students, what's best, but you got to think about fiscal responsibility, where that money comes from, whether or not it's sustainable. It would be unwise to throw something in a budget that would get tossed out because it was extra. That's why these budgets always go through a few cycles, because sometimes it takes a little while to find that. If you fund it in a grant the first year because you got one, great. The next year, maybe there's a case to put it in the full budget. We had it this year, let's stick it again. This is what happened, I think, with all-day kindergarten. It started in one form, ended in another, but it's still here. Like I said, I encourage everybody here to watch the meeting again. Once this gets to town meeting, there's going to be 50 people in that room that get to decide this thing. And I suspect if it's a majority vote, the odds of the town manager suddenly deciding to sit on his hands would be very, very slim. Granted, they're slim now, and I hope people realize that. I guess that concludes what I'm trying to say here. You know, you guys all love this town. Superintendent loves this town. Everybody in this room loves this town. You don't run for office or come to a meeting like this if you don't. And the bottom line for me is that we have to remember that. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Wittridge.
Thank you.
Still not public yet, but thank you.
Your mother doesn't watch these meetings, does she?
Good neighbor.
Dina Kondakis, 22 Foster Street. I apologize, I came late to the meeting. I was watching my daughter's game. As you can see, we're huge supporters of all Saugus sports and activities. And both my husband, myself, my kids are very much involved in lots of things in this town, be it sports, PTO, community service,
I'll vouch for that. The cars keep coming down.
all sorts of things. And with that said, I have sat around for a long time now, this full school year, and have my kids specifically have endured a few things that I never thought in my life that my kids would go through. And I'm going to get a little emotional because it's
Take your time.
Pretty
That's okay.
important.
Take your time.
So I agree with the need for an SRO. I think a lot of what I'm going to say has a lot to do with having someone who's trained in noticing certain behaviors, not only of students, of faculty, administrators, whoever walks in and out of the school, is also someone that we as parents or students themselves, because they are they're getting the immediate feed from the people in front of them, to go to see someone in authority who has, who's building a relationship with them. Because my kids have seen some things throughout the school year, have come to us, and my husband and I are parents who are very much involved. We go to every open house, to every parent-teacher conference, we divide and conquer. We try and be at every single thing that involves our children. We pay taxes here. We had the opportunity to leave this town a couple years ago, and my husband said, this is a good place to be. So I said, okay, all right, then that's what we'll do. And so we're even more invested to stay here. And now that our kids have one in middle school, 7th grade, and one in 5th grade who will be entering the middle school, I'm really, really scared. Because my 7th grader has had a teacher in front of her that from day one, when we met her at parent-teacher conference, in our gut, we said, something's amiss. So if I'm an adult parent, on the first night I meet this person, in 5 minutes, recognize something's amiss. I don't know what the vetting process is like for hiring staff. I give a lot of credit to all the teachers. I couldn't do what you do. But at the same time, you have my kids' full attention for 6 hours of the day, almost more than I do, in front of you. And you're vetting that person. You can't tell me that in your gut you don't see something that I see in 5 minutes. And that you still move forward and put that person in front of you. Now, my 5th grader has had a little different issue, but now another situation which, again, in the first couple minutes of parent-teacher conference, we were like, something's a little miss here, but I give people the benefit of the doubt, and everyone's human, everyone's got their stuff to handle. But we just kept our eyes close on things. And now he's in a situation where he's getting put into a class, and God bless the teachers, they're going to get more kids in their classroom because I understand the problem with finding qualified teachers. But I don't know what's worse, having an unqualified teacher with potentially something going on in front of my kid, or no teacher in front of my student. And then they have bigger classrooms, or someone who's a curriculum coach steps down and fills in that role, or I don't know the process, I'll be honest, but there's got to be some give and take on both sides. I just can't sit by and just not say something anymore. I've just kind of had it. I have respect for the superintendent. We have a good relationship. I can go to him when I need to. Members up here on the board, I talk to very openly quite often. But I don't know that I can keep my kids in the Saugus school system as it is right now, especially another middle schooler who my fifth grader is a high achiever. He's not being challenged. He's now been assigned to a class that I know from other parents doesn't have the rigor, the challenge that he needs. So he's a good kid. He's not going to get in trouble. He's just going to ace everything and be like, okay. And I'm looking to move him out of district. Can't afford it. Don't know how I'm going to do it, but we'll figure it out. My seventh grader is already on her own accord, has applied outside of district. She's very independent. Very independent and just knows what she wants. It's hard. It's hard to be home. This is all I do. I have a full-time job, and my full-time job, if they're watching, sorry, I'm 90% of the time communicating, following up, emailing stuff about school for my kids. I'm not even doing my job. That's just, I don't know. I just have to put it out there. My kids can't be the guinea pigs anymore for a good, somewhat good teacher. Maybe they'll hang around. Maybe they won't have a problem. I'm sorry, I just can't do it anymore. So that's it. And I like what you said, Ms. Marchese. I will get more involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, before you go, seriously, because I think we talk a lot, and we have these conversations, and there's a lot we need to fix. There's a lot, and I think Mr. Hashem talked, first of all, the hiring process. I think we were saying what you were saying, right? How did this happen? Like, how do you let this happen? It's not hard to fix. So I think, and I'll defer to Mr. Hashem, but I think a lot of hard decisions are being made right now, and they're not going to be easy, and they're not going to be easy for the people. But I think here's the problem: you're not the exception. That's the problem.
That is a big problem.
That's the problem. You're not
It's
the
not
exception.
an anomaly. It's
Correct.
the norm.
Correct. So I think, as we talked about earlier too, is, well, listen, it's not one thing, we got to fix everything,
Yeah,
so.
I understand that. I do. I just
And,
wish we could.
no,
And I know
listen,
they're all priorities, honestly, I do. But I feel
but they
like.
got to get done. It just can't,
Yeah,
here's the
and I feel
problem, it's
like
got to
the
get
high
done.
achievers and those who are good kind of get left behind because we have to focus on other things.
Well, that's what happens,
And I can't have that happen. to
yeah,
my
you
kids.
can't have, no, and I hear that the advanced kids are moving, so when you look at test scores and stuff, the advanced kids are moving away because they need to be challenged. Like, we've talked about it, like, how do you not come home with homework,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, you know what, I'm sorry, because it falls on us, and I'm sorry, and I promise you we'll fix it.
It's
Maybe it won't
accountability,
be
though.
my time.
It's accountability, because I've been up there. It's accountability. And the message I want to send is, the reason why I sit on this panel today is because I feel like over the last 4 or 5 years, people aren't held accountable for stuff. And I am going to make sure that I do my best to do that, because I had a son in the school system, and we need an SRO more than anything, but it also can come at a different level too. People need to not turn a blind eye, and it needs to be looked at. Parents want more communication. I think this is why this meeting is very escalated as well, because there's a lot of that's been brewing for a long time, and people have had it. They've had it, including me. So I completely agree with you. We thought about that with Joseph as well. Where are we going to go? But he loves Saugus. Yes, he is over at the Vogue right now, but he wants to be an electrician. But he loves Saugus. He loves Saugus. But we have to start holding people higher up who run these buildings accountable. It can no longer be not communicating back with the parents, not communicating back with the kids, not checking on. I'm done. I've expressed the way I feel, and everybody on this panel knows the way I feel, including the superintendent. So thank you for coming up here and saying that tonight, because I'm right behind you, if not in front of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, Isabel McCarrier, 35 Prospect Street. I'm not good off the cuff, so I wrote something down. and I
Just
was-
take your time. Take
and
your
I was
time. Don't
gonna
worry
talk
about it.
The SRO, I also think that it would be an asset to the community to have one in the schools. So I'm just going to carry on after that. That as a parent who has always been deeply involved in my child's education, I've noticed a significant gap in communication between the middle school and parents. It's frustrating to feel like half the time information that parents should know doesn't get passed on. The lack of communication has left me feeling a total disconnect from my child's education. One thing that I strongly feel we need to bring back is parent-teacher conferences. These events provide invaluable opportunities for parents and teachers to connect, discuss their child's progress, and address any concerns together. Communication between the school and parents is essential, yet unfortunately, it seems to be lacking, especially when it comes to the middle school level. I think it's also crucial that we address the issue of hiring quality educators for our schools. Our children deserve nothing but the best when it comes to their education, and that starts with having first-rate teachers who are passionate and excited about their jobs. Unfortunately, I think we can all agree that Saugus needs to do better in this regard. Parents are tired of hearing excuses and are rightly frustrated with the lack of progress in hiring and retaining top-notch educators. Let's remember to prioritize education above all else. We need to leave all the unnecessary distractions and nonsense at the door, focusing instead on what truly matters, and that's providing our children with the best possible education and the support they deserve. I do want to emphasize that we have many great teachers and administrators in our schools who work tirelessly every day to support our students and help them succeed. It's unfortunate that their efforts often seem to get overshadowed by the negative aspects that are sometimes highlighted in the media and within our very own community. We need to do a better job of recognizing and celebrating the hard work and dedication of these individuals. I believe that by addressing these issues head-on and working together as a community, we can make our schools safer and provide our students with the quality education they deserve.
Thank you. Do you want to touch on the parent-teacher?
Can we, Mr. Palmerini? Okay. I just want to make sure it was all up there. We did meet with the SEA about the last contract. They had negotiated out of the contract the parent-teacher nights or the parent-teacher meetings.
Yeah.
We did work with the SEA, and as of yesterday, they voted to re-put in or reinstitute, thank you. Reinstitute, better word. The parent-teacher conferences for the secondary level, so that would be high school and middle school, for the 2024-25 school year.
Great. That's good.
And again, right, is, listen, the way, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I look at our schools as two-part, right? I look at elementary down, I think we're fantastic. I really do. I think we do a great job.
I agree. In elementary school, we had no issues. Like, she received a great education, and I'm not saying she's not receiving a great education up at the middle school. It just seems very different. She's not being challenged the way I feel that she should be. There's a lot of downtime. There's, I don't know, I call them filler classes. I don't.
Listen, we agree. Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
I will say one thing, that when they got rid of the parent-teacher conference, it was because nobody showed up. I was in there alone in a lot of my son's classes, so we definitely need more parent involvement if we're going to,
Absolutely.
And I'm glad actually you mentioned it tonight, because I don't think we were going to bring that up tonight.
No, I wasn't
So,
going to. But
Yeah.
thank you.
No, thank you.
Surprise.
To Vinnie's comment, I don't want to say that the elementary is not fantastic, but all the schools need, I mean, we're not in there on a daily basis, and we don't know what goes on with kids missing stuff and teachers out, and that's what I'm talking about accountability. That's what I mean about accountability. So it's not that I don't want to say that the lower levels aren't fantastic, but to say fantastic kind of tells parents out in the audience here that everything is great, and I don't think, I'm just speaking for me, I don't think that's fair for me to sit up here and say that it's fantastic when I haven't been. There's always room for improvement, always room for improvement. And so I know that they have their own set of issues as well, so.
Should I state my name again?
No, that's okay.
Okay. So I just want, I'm sure everybody knows by now. So I do want to encourage everyone to go back and replay this video and listen, because the contradictions that came from some members are grossly obvious. That being said, I just want to read a quote from Item Live article dated March 17, 2023 by our very own Charlie McKenna, right there.
Steely Dan.
Okay. He also said the district has unexpended grant funds and pointed to the $3 million set aside in a student support reserve fund that the article is written from, specifically for schools as a way to potentially close the gap. Crabtree and the Finance Committee have historically not met requests made by superintendents of the school and the school committee, consistently providing less funding than the district officials have said they need. Indeed, a review of the budget submitted to the town by the school committee in FY22 and FY23, and the final figures the district received showed a disparity in hundreds of thousands of dollars for both fiscal years. In 2023, the district had to lay off staff as a result. So when we talk about passing passing an article, especially to come from this fund, right? So two questions. It sounds like the biggest reason that, Mr. Fisher, you brought it up, the biggest reason that you guys want to use this article is for seed money, and then to build into the budget, and then also that you think there's a better chance of the article getting passed than your budget. Mr. Hatch, you told us that town meeting has given you every dollar you asked for. Now, a proposed budget is every dollar you're looking and asking for, and you never get your proposed budget. You only get $500,000 over. $5,000, $500,000 more than you've got the last year historically. So when I asked to have the budget reviewed and put in the budget, I think you have a better chance of getting that passed through town meeting with all the other asks than getting the article passed and funded. Because, Andrew alluded to a meeting that town meeting members had last week. Well, the one prior to that one that he wasn't at, we were told, all new town meeting members were told, that town meeting passes the budget, and if the town manager doesn't see it feasible or doesn't approve of it, he will not do it. And that came from the town manager. There were select board members in there, town meeting members in there, Peter Manugian was in there. All these people were in there, and that was set. And that's how our government is set up. Our former government in 1947 gave all the power to the town manager, all of it, because they didn't want the select board to have it. So we put an article, you put an article in on a warrant to get $450,000 from this fund, and it gets passed, doesn't guarantee you're getting the money. If you put a line item in for a school resource officer in your budget, it gets passed, you're guaranteed that money.
So what if our budget doesn't get passed?
That's not
Again,
fair.
that's the next step. The most important part, so you have a lot of ask in that
but
budget.
But we're talking the next step with the stabilization
The
fund, the warrant would be to get the warrant passed.
If it's in your budget and the budget gets approved, right, do you get that money?
Mr. Chair, there's
Okay. So if the warrant's approved, do we get that money? Yes.
You don't.
that's not.
Not if it's not, no,
Mr. Parlante, that's not true. What will happen is we're going to recommend a budget. Town meeting, and I was on town meeting as well. And I've observed it on school committee. Town meeting is going to vote a number, and that number is given to the school committee, and then the school committee comes back and we draft a budget based off that number. What's confusing me, and I mean this with great respect, I'm very confused where you're coming at this, because you're saying that even though every time town meeting has voted money for the schools, we've received every dollar that town meeting has voted for the schools, every single dollar has come to the schools. We've identified the funding source for the SRO. If town meeting approves that article, we get that money. If town meeting votes a number for our budget, and if that is 2.7 million, if it's 2.9 million above current, if it's 1.5 million above current, if it's zero above current, we then have to come back and draft a budget based on that money. You seem to be saying whatever you do, the town manager's not going to give us the money, even though he always has.
Not what I'm saying.
But then you're saying if it's off an article, he's not going to give us the money, but if it's on the budget, he has to give us the money. You're preparing for a situation that hasn't happened. You are going to get the ability to vote any number you want for the schools. So vote the budget, work with town meeting to pass what the schools need. And if we do not get that money, then you're going to see the community rally up and you're going to see us rally up. But you're saying we're doomed. The situation that's never happened is going to happen. The way you're describing the budget process is not how the budget process works. And I really urge everyone, help us pass the warrant, help us pass this article, and that will give us the seed money for the SRO. That's
All right, let's,
Okay, and the last thing I'm going to say is I didn't say the town manager wouldn't do it. I'm saying he doesn't have to if he doesn't see it feasible. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say he wouldn't. So I'm not saying that he could. We could pass the article and he can fund it. So your word up there and all the word of all the school committee is if that article gets passed through town meeting, that if it's not funded, you're going to be on a soapbox looking for that money for the SRO?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Every single one of you? Okay.
Absolutely.
Why would
Okay,
we
great.
not?
And that's not, okay.
Yes.
I'm going to leave it right, I'm going to leave it right there.
Mr.
Thank you.
Parlante, I just wanted to say one thing. You know, we got a little heated early, but I have, I have two kids here, right? Two kids in the system. I got a 10th grader, a 3rd grader. My girlfriend has a 5th grader and a 7th grader. Believe me when I
Fiancé.
Believe me when I say that I care about what happens in these schools and I care about safety. So I get a little, I get a little pissed off when someone comes up and tells me that I don't care about the SRO. So I apologize if I got a little heated with you, but that's where that comes from. I have a huge stake, probably more than anybody up here, because now there's going to be 4 kids in my house that go to these schools. So I deeply care what happens to these schools. And I'm in these schools a lot, and I see it a lot. And I don't want to, like I said, do I want to put it in the budget? No, I don't. Do I want to put it on the warrant? I do, because I know that we have a better chance. I know it. And you got to have to take our word on this one. I know we have a better chance of getting it if it's on the warrant. It really holds everybody accountable if we put it in the warrant. If we put it in the budget, it's tough. Like you said, historically, we don't get the money. You know what I mean? We could ask for $5 million, we just don't get it. You know what I mean? It's terrible.
we have the process. As we go through the process, let's communicate, let's work together. And if you have an idea, if you think maybe we could do this, or we need to do this differently, unfortunately, we can't go back and open the budget now because it's, like I said, it was due February 1st. So this probably should have happened during our budget meetings. But secondly, we can, when we get our budget and I get our money back, we can collaborate and see what we can do.
And we do have 3 articles in. I don't know if everybody knows that. What are the other ones for athletics?
Athletics, athletic user fees. And student achievement.
School and summer
After
school
school enrichment.
Enrichment
So,
program, yes, all right.
and a elementary reading program, so.
That's what we're hoping to walk out of town meeting with 3 warrants approved for us, 3 articles approved for us, and believe me, we'll fight. If they get approved, we're going to fight for that money. We're going to get it.
I just want to acknowledge your apology. I accept it, and I also, return one back to you. It's not that, the passion and frustration collide up here. Coming from where I'm standing and learning all that I'm learning around here, it's real confusing when people will say one thing and do another, And I
Well,
know
you got to find out it's not me. I don't do that.
Well, I know that you mentioned about Facebook and people posting.
Yeah.
I called you twice. You didn't answer.
You know why? Because you spouted off first, and then you called me after. It doesn't work that way. Call me first, and we'll talk. But if you go out there and say you're going to demand this, this, and this, I'm not going to take your call. You already did the damage. I'll talk to you here.
What
I'll talk to you at the
damage?
meeting when
Demand better? We demand better?
Demand better. You're showing that we don't care, and that's not.
No,
that's
what
not
I said
the
is
case.
our community should demand better. That's all.
Yeah, demand better for what? That's what I'm
From
saying.
everybody.
But you could have
From
called me
everybody.
beforehand. That's all.
From
You
everybody.
could have called me beforehand.
From town, no, but from everybody, not
We
just
can't go
from
down-
Absolutely, absolutely.
town
We can't-
meeting, from
listen.
the entire community. We are not giving the kids all the resources and all the support we could. We are not. We're not. And if your budget doesn't get approved for, English as a second language, all this, the SPED teachers, all the stuff that you're asking for, well, I want a roll call. I'm going to have a roll call on every vote, and we're going to point out the people who aren't voting for it.
Well, you'll know
Because
anyway.
it's just as important.
You'll
It's
know anyway.
extremely
It'll show up on
important.
the screen. But yeah, no, absolutely, 100% right.
Just a quick question, just to explain the budget for people who are watching and everything else, the way this works. When you go to FinCom, okay,
Correct.
and you argue your budget, and you have to put on quite a presentation, and it's a very detailed
Yeah,
presentation.
no,
kind
and
of thing.
we'll get questions on everything.
I've been there and I've seen it.
Yeah.
What happens is the article that is presented to town meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, town meeting members, and Ryan, you've been on there. It is what FinCom or they recommend. It is not the budget that, it's a recommendation.
Yeah.
It's not the budget that these people put forward, just so everybody knows that. So they're at the whim or the mercy of FinCom. Okay, so these are not the people in that case that we want to put blame on. They're putting their budget in front, and they're fighting for it in front of FinCom. FinCom comes up, and that article will have the amount that FinCom thinks the schools could get. And I'm not a betting person, but usually, if I went for the last 5 years, it'd be about $300,000 to $500,000 over the budget, and we all know that. So I just want people to know that it's not that they're not putting that money and fighting for that money, but they're at the mercy of what FinCom comes up with next. So it's not your, and I just want everybody to know that this is not you. Just because a lot of people don't know the way that budget works.
We're at everybody's mercy. We're FinCom and the selectmen's always been very supportive, so
And I
that
think
one we
that's
don't
the
worry
big
about.
thing is,
But
so
then it goes to
people
town meeting,
understand the way it works, because then you can form your plan of attack.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what night is FinCom meeting?
What?
It's in my.
So then my next question is, now I know you have the authority to form a special subcommittee. Special subcommittee, correct?
Correct.
Might be something worthwhile to form that special subcommittee now, before that bill or that article goes in front of, get all the PTOs, get the mothers, get people calling precinct town members. Say, we need this, we need your help, we need this passed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that way, it's a collaborative effort between the schools, the parents, the teachers, everybody. It may be worth a shot.
No, absolutely. Anything's worth a shot.
I mean,
right?
just
'Cause
saying
we gotta
that,
fix
you know, a
things.
grassroots effort. Just Stephanie, please, I saw Stephanie lead one of the biggest grassroots efforts with her girls 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tom's holding signs out there. Everybody's holding signs. That was a collaboration. And that's where we need to get people on board. And lastly, my Facebook post was not meant to call anybody out.
I didn't even
That
see
was
my
meant,
Facebook post.
that was
Not on
meant to get
social media,
people
so.
here in the room. Because as we all know, I usually get a lot of people who follow
Yeah.
sometimes. And
No.
and that's all. And if
Vinny's
if
on MySpace, so he
and if
has-
I had known that there, I thought it was good. And if I had known that there were meetings with the TRO, like, I don't go and read, unfortunately, I don't read the agendas.
No one
I
does.
kind of get, I still get sweaty and shakes from my terms.
Don't blame me.
But it might be great if something like that you think is going to be a parent
something that's apparent interest, we throw it out there maybe on social media.
Perfect.
But thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Anyone else? Beulah? Anyone?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I make a motion to move to executive session, not to return to open session.
Chair seconds. Do a roll?
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Ms. Masakova?
Yes.
Mr. Witcher?
Yes.
Mr. Sereno?
Yes.